Hi, it's Jenny from Handmade by Jenny. Today I'm going to be decorating some junk envelopes to make into pockets. These are inspired by some that I think Pam from the Paper Outpost maybe made. Now, as you can see, I've inked the front and the back. I've also done a wee bit of decoration here to cover some printing. I think it was the company address that was on the back there. There was some print here as well and print up here. So I've covered these bits with bits of book page and also a little faux stamp that I made. This was a window envelope, so I've also decorated the window envelope by sticking a bit of paper inside and then using a sheet of paper to cover the front as well so those bits don't get caught on it. And I've used up some washi tape around the top to make a nice tidy edge. So here's how I did it. First of all, got a junk mail envelope. I actually have a really nice tidy top on this one because when I got the mail in, I stacked it down so that the letter would come out the way, and then I cut it open with a knife and a ruler just to get a nice tidy top because I was planning to use these for crafting. I've inked round about it. Now the particular inks I've used were Distress Ink, Hickory Smoke, and Distress Ink Brushed Corduroy. But if you've got greys or browns of any sort, have a go at those. Blend them together if you like. It's not that important which shades you use, just use what you've got. And remember, it's good to make the edges quite dirty, the bits where you would expect it to be handled most of all, because that's where your dirty fingerprints would go onto it, and that's why it should look aged around those areas. Okay. I'm not particularly careful or good at inking, but it doesn't matter because once I've decorated it up, nobody will care anyway. All right, so for the window. In this particular one here, I've used a wee bit of birthday wrapping paper, second-hand of course, and I'm going to, this time, use a bit of paper that I've got from a wallpaper sample that I had left over. That's it there. Now, to get your paper for your window, just pop a piece in, check it's about the right size for your window, and then pop it in to make sure you're happy with the way the picture comes up. There we go. And then I've lined the whole front of the inside of the envelope. You can line the whole thing if you want to. The way I did that was to get a sheet of paper. This particular paper was done with the shaving foam marbling. My niece and I did that. My niece is 7 years old. She had lots of fun doing that one of the days. That was inspired by, I think, Kim. And my niece had lots and lots of fun doing that. We did that at the table in an afternoon. So measure it up that way. And you don't even need to cut it off. Just tear. And that piece would fit absolutely fine inside the envelope. So you would slide that in. There we go. Happy with that on the front. Pull them out together, and in fact the wrapping paper comes right down to the bottom, so all I would need to do is glue it with a glue stick. Will be absolutely fine for this. Excuse my wobbly table today, I'm sorry. And that would be that. Okay, now when you pop that back in, it'll cover the window perfectly well. So I was going to use this one. When you're gluing, you want to have lots of glue over this side, glue across the bottom, glue across the top, and a wee bit down the side, just so that it sticks in quite nicely. We don't need to be too perfect with the top because when we washi tape across the top, that'll help to glue it in better. Okay, now this is not a great glue stick, but I'm not relying on it for much grip anyway. It's just a cheap office type one that I bought in one of the office supply shops. And this will pop in here. There we go, and there's the blossoms peeking out the window. Okay. My next job is to cover these bits of information here that I really don't want to be showing. So I'm going to use a bit of book paper for that. Now, I was going to ink up some fresh book paper, but I think what I'm going to do is actually just colour this up a little bit more. This is an old book page that I've been using to, if I've been inking, like here, I would use the book page in the background so I wouldn't go into my table. So I think I'll use this because it's already quite inky, and I will put a wee bit more colour into it. Now, on this particular piece of blossom paper. I quite like the pinks, so I'm going to use a wee bit of Victorian Velvet to try and bring out that pink a little bit more. I use these little finger daubs, which I got from Amazon. They're quite handy. I'm going to do this off camera so it doesn't wiggle the screen about too much, okay? There we go. A bit of pink on that one now. And I'm going to tear it neatly across the bottom just so as it goes nicely above my window, and then the top I don't need to be worrying about quite so much. I use a ruler. Any sort of straight edge should do the job quite well. I don't have a tearing ruler, mine's just a quilting ruler actually, but it's nice and neat and does quite a good job there for me. So this will go across the top. I need to get this a bit shorter. There we go. That's fine too. Now, that'll cover it perfectly well, but because I want this to stick on a wee bit better this time, rather than with the glue stick, I'm going to use some wet glue. It just, it's some tacky glue I have handy, so I'm just going to use that. I actually like to use it with a glue spreader because I get a good coverage that way. There we go. And this will glue on quite nicely across my wording. If you've got wording on it that you want to keep, then that's absolutely fine. I just don't particularly want it to look have private and confidential on it because I don't think that's very friendly. And I'm going to cover this bit now the same way. This time I think I'm going to use the nice crisp edge across the top, just because I quite like that. Now, because I've been using it before, it's a bit rough and a bit patterny, and that's absolutely fine. It just adds to the detail, and I don't mind that at all. After all, it's for a junk journal, isn't it? These are quite good. You can use them in your larger journal, vertically. You can either glue them in to the journal, or you can just sit them into the page and maybe clip them in with a paper clip. Your other options could be popping them into a journal and folding them in half, or folding them that way, and then they could sit either side of a page. You could paper clip them again to keep them in, or even over the top of a page. If you wanted to, you can cut them in half before you decorate them up, and then you can use them as two separate pockets as well. That's quite a good idea too. I'm going to do that with another batch myself. Now, that's all the bits covered that I want to have covered, and you can see all the colours are coming through quite nicely. So we've got greens and greens, we've got the pinks and pinks, and a wee bit of pink up there too. I'm going to put a stamp on this because at the end of the day it's an envelope, so I want it to look a bit more envelopey. And I am going to put a wee bit of fabric behind it as well, because I kind of like that look when it's a wee bit more textured. I've got a wee bit of material here that will do the job. And I've got some scissors, so I'll just snip. And I'll tear it. There we go. Now actually, I could just leave that as it is and then pop something on here. I've got some faux stamps that I made. I've made them with book page and then stamped images on them. And then I cut them out with I gessoed them to give them a slightly glossy look. They've also got a wee bit of the franking stamp on that you get. Oh, there's quite a good one with a frank mark on the corner there. Apparently it's from Hull. And I think maybe that wee heart one with the flowers on it might do the job. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, so a bit of glue on the back of my paper first, or my fabric first, sorry. Remember, very few glue sticks will hold down materials, so make sure if you're going to use glue stick for your material that it's one that's got a good enough grip. And failing that, some Fabri-Tac, tacky glue, wet glue. I'm working through a lot of glues at the moment, so I'm using lots and lots of PVAs, odd bits of bottles of PVAs and tacky glues and things. So all different brands, and it's not really important which ones you use as long as you use them for the right jobs. So there we go. There's my little stamp up in the corner too. Job done. Now, I feel I want to put a wee bit more decoration on here, so I think I'm going to attempt to do a wee bit of stamping on it. Now I do have a set of stamps here that I've never used before. I think these actually came free with a magazine, and they're not really my taste, but I think they might be quite nice with the floral and the heart sort of look. So I think I might have a go. We'll maybe try with the leaf first of all. I've got a page to try it out on as well, because I've never used it before, as I said. It's always good to try it somewhere first of all. Oh, that's quite nice. Can you see that all right? It's a bit faint, but that's okay. I can cope with that. There we go. Haha. Don't want to stamp on the cutting mat. Now these things, sometimes it's just about building up a bit of tone, a bit of texture, a bit of colours to see how you get on with them. And there's no rights or wrongs, so don't worry about it too much. Yeah, I like that better. What do you think? That do? Okay, let me pop this out of the way, pop its lid on. And now I'll get my washi tape. Now I've got this little set of washi tapes handy, so I'll use one of these, I think. Just a plain green, speckledy one maybe. Plain green. Right, now, don't know about you, but I find that washi tape's not very trustworthy, depending on the brand of it, depending on the age of it. So you might want to use a bit of glue stick to help it get sticky. It's also worth knowing that if your washi tape, and this one's peeling quite nicely, but if your washi tape's not peeling nicely, a few seconds in the microwave apparently can soften up the glue in it so it'll peel better. So if you're ever stuck, have a go at that. I'm just going to bring my washi tape right across the top of my glue stick like that, just to make sure it's got a bit of glue on it. There we go. First half over the, and I'll do the back first actually, over the back of the envelope halfway down, approximately halfway down, see that? And then we open them up, stick it down the rest of the way. Now when you get to the end here, see if you flatten out the end. flatten out the end, it'll go around the corner quite nicely and give you a neat finish. No need to snip with scissors and things. Okay. And then we'll get round to this end as well. Do you know, I've got a waft of shaving foam from that paper. The one thing about these shaving foam printed papers is that they still smell of the shaving foam, and it's lovely. Absolutely lovely. So that's a nice neat finish on the back there. You'll see I've not stuck anything on here yet, but I will. I promise I'll not forget that. And washi tape now for the front as well. Just slightly too long so that it goes over the ends and makes a nice neat finish. There we go again. Pull it through just to make it a wee bit more sticky. There we go. Pop it down about halfway down on the envelope. Okay. Press it down to make it nice and firm. And then turn it around and fold it in. You can see now that I'm sticking down over the paper that I'd used to line the envelope too, so that makes it nice and neat there too. Okay, flattened out the end. Do you see that again? Flattened out the end so that we've got no bits at the end there to worry about cutting. Stick along all the way along here. There we go. And flatten out at the end to fold it down nice and neat there again. And then we've got, as you can see, we've got nice neat ends. Okay. Nice neat end there too. And I'll pop a wee bit of something over here now. Let me get back to my trusty bit of rubbishy paper. Actually, I want a wee sharp edge across the top on this one, just because, well, just because it's the top of the envelope, really. You see, that'll go over there fine. So we'll just get a wee bit of that. There we go. That can go over there. A little bit of wet glue with my glue spreader again. There we go. Wonder how you're all doing today. We've got showers today. It's not very nice. I was hoping to get out in the garden, but that's not going to happen right now. Maybe try and do that later on. But it's kind of grey, kind of wet, a bit miserable. Okay. Hope it's nicer where you are. That's that little bit done. And then I'll look for a wee something or other to pop on the top. Now, I've got some words somewhere. Here we go. Let me see if I can find a wee word something. It's quite good if you are new to this to sit with a magazine, perhaps of an evening when you're watching the television or something, and have a wee look and see if you spot anything in magazines that are nice, that might be perfect for journaling. It's amazing the words that you might find that aren't obvious to you to start with, but actually, oh, joy, that's quite nice. I'll maybe pop that one up. I quite like that. It's amazing the words that you might come across in a magazine that aren't obvious to start with, but actually as you look at them, they might suit a certain journal or piece of ephemera at some point. So there we go. That one says joy. Okay. And then I also want to pop something across this one here. Now this one that I had done originally says someone special on it, which means that someone special might be receiving that one. Let's see what I can find. Did you know? Not the right colours for this one. Innovative. Not sure that my envelopes are innovative because I know that other people have done them before, but that's okay. We'll just pretend. There we go. So that wee bit of wording can just pop on my envelope just to give it a little bit of a focal point. And actually, I'm going to pop a wee gemstone or something on. Oh, pearls. That's what I did on the previous one, so I'll do that again, I think, because I quite liked that. These are, let me see, adhesive petals by Simply Creative. I think I bought these in the range. The range is available all over the UK. And I'll pop some petals. Now, they are adhesive petals, but same again, I don't always trust the glue on these things, so I'm going to pop some glue dots on here first of all, and then I'll pop my petals on top of that. And hopefully that'll do it. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Now, that glue will dry clear, and it'll be absolutely fine. There we go. Okay. They do look squinty at the moment, but they will be straighter once the glue dries. So that's my take on decorated envelopes. Similar to the ones that Pam at the Paper Outpost made, I think. But I didn't have a reference for it, so I can't really remember, I couldn't check. But it was something along those lines, and I'm quite pleased with that. And there was my prototype. And actually now looking at it, my prototype looks a little sad without the extra stamping on. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. Have a go. It's good to just use up bits and pieces of scrap, and of course the envelopes are free. See you again. Bye now.